Have you ever wondered how did human language begin? Today, we communicate through thousands of languages using words, sounds, gestures, and complex grammatical structures. But humans were not always able to communicate in this way. Before writing systems and modern languages existed, early humans already needed ways to express emotions, communicate with others, cooperate, and share information. This raises an interesting question. Where did the language came from in the first place? The origin of language is one of the most difficult questions in linguistics because there is no direct record of the very first human language, and we cannot go back in time and listen to the first human speak. One important scholar who contributed to this discussion was Otto Jespersen. He was a Danish linguist who lived from 1860 to 1943. He was well known for his work in English grammar, language development, and the origin of language. What makes Jespersen particularly interesting is that he did not simply argue that the language came from one single source. He also considered that language development to be a complex process involving different aspects of human life, including emotions, social interaction, work, play, singing, courtship, and expressive sounds.
Hi everyone! Today, our group mates will be exploring Otto Jespersen's five commonly discussed hypotheses on the origin of language. Jespersen was a renowned Danish linguist who viewed the emergence of speech as a complex developmental process rooted in human interaction and expression. My group mates will now present each of these five hypotheses. So the five theories are.
Hello everyone! So I am Andrea Maes Bangsoy and I'm going to tackle about the Jespersen's 5 commonly discussed hypotheses. So I am going to tackle the first one. So the first one is the vowel hypothesis. So the vowel hypothesis proposed by Otto Jespersen suggests that some of the earliest human sounds by imitating sounds from their environment. So in simple terms, humans may have heard a sound and try to apply it using their voices. So think about how we naturally say a meow for a cat, woof for a dog, and buzz for a bee. So these are the examples of onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia were sounds imitated real sounds. Jespersons believed that early humans may have started communicating in similar way by copying sounds from animals, nature, and their surroundings. So why it is important? So the hypothesis helps us explain how sounds and meaning may have become connected. So humans could have started communicating by copying sounds they frequently heard. So but not all words came from words or sounds. So words like justice, love, and yesterday. Words like this don't imitate anything we can hear. So imitation alone cannot explain the entire development of a human language, especially grammar and abstract ideas. So simple idea to remember it. We heard it, we copied it, and it became a word. That's all. Thank you.
And now let's proceed to our next theory, which is the Popo theory. But let's first look at this picture. So as we can see in the picture, there is a girl walking barefoot and she accidentally hit her toe on a chair. Because of the pain that she feels, she reacts and yells, ouch! She didn't think what she was going to say or the grammar that she will use, but she just reacted. And that exact reaction is the main idea behind the Popo theory.
The theory was proposed by British linguist Henry Sweet in the 19th century. And based on the theory, human language didn't start with structured thoughts or logic. Instead, it began with instinctive, emotional sounds, like cries of pain, shout of surprise, or groans of disgust. But how did a simple sounds that we make turn into full of language? First, early humans experienced strong feelings and made automatic noises in response to their environment. For example, when they feel pain, it caused them to instantly yell and say, ah, or ow, as a sign of pain. And once other members of the tribe always witness this happen or hear it multiple times, like for example, when they hear someone get hurt and they say, ow, they will eventually use that, or the other tribe will also using that ow, not just a sound but as a signal for danger, pain, or watch out for sharp objects. And we can still hear those sounds in our daily conversation or speech. For example, we might say or yell, ouch, or oh, when getting hurt, or making sounds like ew, or oh, when seeing something gross, saying wow, or oh, when shocked or surprised, or maybe exhaling a heavy phew after escaping danger or stress. In short, the Fufu theory claims that emotion came before language. Our language started not in our brains, but in our gut reaction. And that would be all for this theory.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's whiteboard explainer. Get ready because we are driving straight into a super fun, absolutely fascinating mystery about language. Have you ever heard of the word ding dong hypothesis? I know, it sounds kind of fun, right? But it's a very real theory about how humans first start talk. So here's the big question for you to think about. Do words have a secret natural connections to the things they actually name? I mean, think about it. When a bell ring, it sounds exactly like the word ding dong, right? So did human just inverted that word totally of the thin air? Or did the physical sounds of the bell basically tell us what word to use? It's a huge, honest, mind-blowing mystery about the origins of speech. Alright, let's look at the core idea of ding dong hypothesis. And it's basically that early speech sounds have a totally natural built-in connection to the physical qualities of things. Simply put, early thinkers imagined that the very first human word were basically just vocal copy of the sounds that objects make in the real world. It's like the sound wave and the actual physical objects are forever tied together. And you know, this actually points to a much bigger philosophical question that deep thinkers have been arguing about a long time. Do words have a natural connections to a real world things they describe? Like, does the word dog inherit fit a dog, or it is just a random arbitrary level that we all just kind of agree upon over time? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Let's move on to the strengths of this idea, which is sound symbolism. Now, this theory definitely has a big strength. It highlights something called sound symbolism. And this recurring sounds meaning connections. Sometimes words really do just sound exactly like what they mean. Think of the word like buzz or crash. For that kind of vocabulary, the spoken sounds fit the physical meaning perfectly. But there's a limitation. Let me talk about the missing evidence. Here's the catch that would definitely shake your head at this part. While sound symbolism is absolutely real, there just isn't enough evidence to prove that this natural connection determines vocabulary across all the different languages in the world. Ding dong makes a perfect sense for a bill, sure, but most words like tree, for instance, don't sense anything at all like the actual object they represent. That's what we call an arbitrary mapping, not a natural one. Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? The most important things to remember from all of this is that yes, sound symbolism definitely exists, but it doesn't explain the whole entire system. Most words out there are born from human agreement, not a natural sounds connection. So as I wave goodbye, I want to leave you with a little challenge. The next time you learn the brand new word, ask yourself, does it actually sound like what I mean, or it is just a wonderful random sequence of sounds? Thank you so much for exploring this with us. Bye-bye!
Have you ever noticed how people naturally make sounds or chant when they're working together? Think about people rowing a boat, pulling a heavy rope, or lifting something together. You might hear sounds like heave, ho, or other repeated rhythms that help everyone move at the same time. But what if these simple sounds were connected to the very beginning of human language? Now we're going to explore the yo-he-ho hypothesis proposed by Otto Jespersen. This theory suggests that language may have developed partly from rhythmic vocalization people used while doing physical work together. So let's take a look at how a simple rhythm used for cooperation might have contributed to something as complex as human language. Here's an example. As we can see, they are coordinated through rhythm and repeated sounds. These chants gives everyone a signal for when to move, allowing them to pull or row at the same time. This shows how vocal sounds can help people work together and coordinate their actions. The idea is that language may have come from the sound of people making while doing physical work together. Early humans may have used hums, grunts, or other sounds to coordinate their movements when lifting, carrying, or doing other difficult tasks. These are some examples of people working together. In the first picture, they are carrying a heavy log, while the second shows people working together to move a large object. The third shows two people lifting weights together, and the last team shows rowing in rhythm. In these activities, timing, rhythm, and sounds can help people coordinate their movements. This is what the yo-he-ho hypothesis suggests, that sounds made during physical effort and teamwork may have played a role in the development of our language. Over time, vocalizations used for coordination may have contributed to the development of more complex communication. We still use rhythm for coordination today, just like let's go, 1, 2, 3, 4, row, 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 or heave, ho. This hypothesis suggests that maybe language didn't begin with words. Maybe it began with people working together, making sounds like grunts, hums, or other sounds to coordinate their movements. And that's it for the yo-he-ho hypothesis.
So now, let's proceed to Lala hypothesis. This hypothesis is also associated with Jefferson, who connected the development of early language with different human activities. First, it is connected to play. Early humans may have made sounds while playing or having fun with others. It is also connected to love and courtship, because people naturally make sounds or expressions when showing affection or trying to attract someone. Another activity is singing. People naturally create sounds when they sing, and these songs-like sounds may have been part of early human expression. All of these are connected to emotional expression, meaning people use sounds to show what they feel, such as happiness, excitement, or affection. So, the Lala hypothesis focuses on pleasurable and emotional sounds. This means that language may not have developed only because people needed to work or survive. Humans may have also started communicating because they wanted to express their feelings and enjoy interacting with others. For the main idea, humans naturally make sounds when they feel different emotions. For example, when we are happy, we may laugh or sing. Or when we are excited, we may shout or make playful sounds. These expressive sounds may have contributed to early communication. As people continued using sounds to express their feelings, some of these sounds may have become connected to certain meanings. Lastly, The hypothesis suggests that language may have developed through social bonding and interaction. In other words, people may have used sounds not only to communicate their needs, but also to connect with others, express emotions, and build relationships. So overall, the Lala hypothesis highlights the emotional and social side of how language may have developed.
Good day, everyone. My name is Angela Rain Di Bernardo, and today I will be discussing evaluating the origin hypothesis.
Powell hypothesis suggests that human may have started language by imitating sounds from animals or nature. A simple example is a dog making the sound bow wow. People have copied sounds like this to communicate about animals or things around them. The poo-poo's hypothesis suggests that language came from natural emotional sounds. For example, when someone gets hurt, they might say ouch, or when they are surprised, they might say wow. The ding-dong hypothesis suggests that there may be a natural connection between certain sound and things. For example, the sound ding-dong is commonly associated with the sound of a bell. The Yoeho hypothesis suggests that language may have developed from sounds people made while working together. For example, when people are lifting or pulling something heavy, they might say hevo to coordinate their movements. The Lala hypothesis connects the development of language with play, love, emotion, or singing. For example, people may sing la 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 while playing or expressing happiness. However, no single hypothesis can explain the entire human language system. These examples only show possible ways that some sounds could have contributed to early communication. Human language is much more complex. It combines arbitrary symbols, pattern structure, social learning, intentionality, and open-ended productivity. Because of these different features, contemporary scholarship favors multifactorial explanations. This means that language probably developed because of several factors working together rather than from only one cause. In conclusion, the bow wow, poo poo, ding dong, yo ho, and lala hypothesis can help us understand possible part of early communication, but no single theory can fully explain human language. Therefore, the origin of human language is better explained by several factors working together rather than by one single origin story.
So let's proceed to their strength and limitations. The first one we have is the Bow Wow hypothesis. And the Bow Wow hypothesis suggests that early language began when people imitated natural sounds from the world around them. And its strength is it lies in offering a simple, logical explanation for how some first words may have formed and words that sounds like the things they stand for, such as animal calls and nature noises. However, it also has clear limitations. It can only account for a very small set of words, and it cannot explain abstract ideas, grammars, or sentence structures. And most words in any language do not actually sound like their meaning. So this idea alone cannot fully explain how language developed. And the next one we have is the poo-poo hypothesis. And the poo-poo hypothesis proposes language grew from natural emotional cries and instinctive sounds people made when feeling pain, surprise, joy, or other strong feelings. And its strength is that it connects language to basic human emotions and natural reactions, making it easy to understand how speech might have started from sounds we already make. And its main limitation is that emotional expressions vary widely across cultures and languages, and these short, simple cries are not enough to build a full, complex language system with rules, long sentences, and clear meanings. The next one we have is the ding-dong hypothesis, and this says everything has its own natural sound, and words were made to match that sound. And its strength is that it shows how some words really do feel like when they fit their meaning, but its limitation is that there is no rule that works for all languages, and what fits one language does not always fit another, and it also only explains a small number of words, not grammar or sentence structures. And the next one we have is the yo-he-ho hypothesis. And this says that language began from rhythmic sounds people made while working together, like pulling or lifting heavy things as a group. And its strength is that it shows language is social. And people created it while helping each other. And its limitation is that rhythm and work sounds alone cannot explain where all our words, ideas, and grammars came from. And the next one we have is the Lala hypothesis. And this says that language is started from sounds of singing, playing, loving, and expressing joy, not just from practical needs. And its strength is that it shows language is not just a tool for work, it is also for connection, emotion, and creativity. But its limitation is that happy sounds and singing cannot explain how we got clear, exact words and grammar rules to talk about all kinds of things.
To wrap things up, Jefferson's showed us that language is likely evolved through a rich mix of play, labor, and emotion rather than a single mechanical event. Although these historical hypotheses differ from a modern, evidence-based linguistics, they offer fascinating insights into human history. Thank you so much for listening to us, and I hope you learned something new today. Bye-bye!